Good evening and welcome to Wicked Problems with Dr. Luke Horton. Question 1. What is a wicked problem?
A wicked problem is a problem that doesn't have any structure. It's a problem that does no known solutions, and the reason they call it wicked is because it's actually a mess. It's something that the more you try and explore, the more answers there are. So when you think about your average problem, you want to change a light bulb, or you want to go and do mow the lawn or something like that, it's quite easy to do those things. But with a wicked problem, there's just no shape, there's no structure, and there's many possible solutions.
What does a wicked problem look like?
A wicked problem looks really, really complex, and it often has many different layers. So you might look at something that's wicked and say there's a political structure there, there's a legal structure there. You could look at any kind of answer and anyone would give you new information on what the problem was and how it fits together, how it hangs together. Your typical wicked problem is something that has many different layers, many different possible answers, and it really is, they call it wicked because it's evil. It has many possibilities and there's no real right answer.
What are some core examples of a wicked problem?
The two that spring to mind are climate change being the first style of wicked problem. If you consider the way in which the Earth responds to that, we don't have any idea really how to respond to climate change. We don't even really know what the drivers for climate change are as such. We can say it's greenhouse gases, we can say it's this, that or the other. We could say it's just a change in the planet's atmosphere. But really, when we think about a wicked problem, or we think about climate change as a wicked problem, it's very, very complicated to explain. And we don't really know what the solutions are. We really don't know what the answers are. It is actually a wicked problem. Another example could be poverty. Like, we don't really know what the drivers for poverty are. People might have a theory saying that it's the law, it's the government, it's the lack of infrastructure for people, it's education. All of those things are probably right, but they're right at the same time. So it's a wicked problem. Another example could be terrorism and war. Why do we constantly have wars? We've had wars as a society going back hundreds of years. Some people say it's the religious view, like Richard Dawkins says it's the religion's what makes us crazy. Other people say it's atheists. Other people say that it's a lack of character. It's all of these things. But really, why do we dispute over land? What is the significance of that? We don't really have an answer. It's a wicked problem. Many possible answers, many possible solutions.
What are the consequences of trying to solve wicked problems?
It's like squeezing the air out of a half-empty balloon from one side and watching it pop up on the other. In other words, the more that you think about the consequences of a wicked problem, the more possible solutions there are. And the biggest consequence is you've only got one chance to get it right. If you get it wrong the first time, it's wrong forever, and it brings with it a new set of problems that you have to solve. Because it's wicked, it's multi-dimensional, multi-layered, and there's all kinds of issues associated with it, there's really no clear pathway to solve the problem. So the consequence is you've got to get it right the first time. It's a one-shot operation. There are no real stopping rules for wicked problems. You can't just say enough's enough. You just reach a point where you say, I've had it, this is the best I can do. The other consequence, of course, is if you get it wrong, it generates a new set of consequences. So we take the example here in Brisbane, where our Lord Mayor built a tunnel under the city. And he thought that was going to solve our traffic problems, but they charged too much and not as many people used it. As a consequence, the company that made it went broke. Now, there's a positive from that. We now can drive to and from the airport in 15 minutes. We can skip out all the traffic, but we have to pay for the privilege. And the third thing about that is it's there forever. That's the big consequence of wicked problems. That if you build a tunnel, you build a bridge, you think the bridge is going to solve the problem. You've got all the beautiful designs in the world, you've got this lovely architecture, architraves, and you spend all this money, and then all of a sudden you realise it was a one-shot operation. You had one chance to get it right, and then all of a sudden, bang, it's there forever. The white elephant.
Is there ever an issue where wicked problems have been solved from the wicked solution?
Sometimes. I think there's been some good examples of that. It's a good question, actually. There have been times where we've seen people tackle wicked problems recently, and I mean, one of the examples that comes to mind is Jamie's Kitchen. He talks about changing culinary habits in the UK. That's a wicked problem because people over there and a lot of have a problem with eating the wrong kind of food. So he decided to take it at the grassroots level. He went back to the where people are actually eating, and tried to change their culinary habits from the ground up. And he challenges the assumption. So I've seen it work well there, but then again, that brings you another set of problems. Like you just said, it creates this other landscape where all of a sudden you solve one set of problems and then a new set of problems comes along. Like, okay, so Jamie's got money, he gives money to these kids, he opens a restaurant, gets them out of jail, gives them good food. What about everybody else? I mean, when he came to Australia, he deliberately targeted low socioeconomic areas like Ipswich, for example.